In this video, I will show you how you can activate and use VRAY for Rhino. So you probably already downloaded and installed it. If you didn't, you can download VRAY. You can buy the product or you can also download a trial. And we already seen how to do that in another video. Now, once you have downloaded, install it, then you will need to run the VRAY and it's gonna ask you to sign in. So you just need to create an account if you don't have one, and then you will be ready to go and to use VRAY in Rhino. Now I will show you all the steps, but this is an important one. So it's gonna ask you sooner or later to log in. So you can do it also before actually opening up the software, and that's gonna activate basically your license so you can use the software. Otherwise, it's gonna give you some issues here when you're gonna try to render. So make sure that you have logged in and then your version is activated and fully operational and active. Okay, and then if you want, you can also check other videos about Rhino 3D. So just look for in the channel, you can see also how to download and install trial version of Rhino 7. It's 90 days to trial version, so it's a pretty long trial. Okay, so of course, when you have downloaded and installed both Rhino and VRAY, then you will be ready to go. And the first thing, now you are seeing here the VRAY frame buffer, which is the probably most interesting tool in this version of VRAY because we have a lot of interesting features, but we're gonna get to this later on. Let me close this. And this will be the VRAY all toolbar that you should see among other toolbars when you will activate the product. And you will also set it as the VRAY primary render engine. So to do that, you will need to go to the settings or options. So you click on this icon here, or you can go to edit and go to, file and properties. And you need to go here to render and click on VRAY for Rhino. So you need to select this, otherwise it won't work. So if I use this one here, which is the standard once you open up Rhino, and then I try to launch VRAY. So I can also do that by going into the toolbars. So if I right click here and go show toolbars and go all the way down, you can see I have the VRAY for Rhino toolbars, and I open up the, well, let's open up everything so you can see all the toolbars available. Okay, and this is the best one because it has all the icons. So if I click here to launch the rendering, or here, it's gonna give me an error. It's gonna tell me, please choose VRAY as your current render. So this is the first setting you need to do. Go to File or go here in the standard toolbar, click on this engine icon here and change it from Rhino Render to VRAY for Rhino and say OK. And again, you need to be logged in, otherwise it won't work. And then you can render and try to see if the VRAY frame buffer opens up. Yes, so this is a good sign. And also you can test your first render, and there you go. So if you start to see something, then that's a good sign that you can say that the installation and the activation are successful. Now I want to start right from the beginning with you, because the less experts and the beginners could be a little bit intimidated by all this new stuff here. Well, if you don't know how to use Rhino, it's gonna be, well, not so much of an issue because we're gonna concentrate mainly on the VRAY stuff here, and I will also talk about many Rhino tools and also, for example, how to import files from other software. So don't worry about that because this is gonna be a complete lesson. We're gonna start easy, we're gonna increase the level little by little, so don't worry, just stick with the videos and you're gonna be fine. So for the more expert, you need to be patient, or you can skip to the following videos because this is gonna be easy at the beginning, and we're gonna see the easiest tools here, and then we're gonna get more advanced with all these different V-Ray tools, but nothing to be worried about. So first of all, I want to talk about the interface and how we can manage V-Ray and what are the most important tools and panels and so on. Now you can see this one here is, I think, the most important, so I'm gonna use only this one because this has all the different icons or all the different tools inside. So all these other toolbars are smaller and they only show one category. Here you'd have it all. So you can close all these ones. Well, if you want, you can keep the V-Ray compact. Here you just need to click and hold on this arrow to show the sub-menus here. But in my opinion, I think it's better to start with this one. It's simpler. Okay. So we're gonna keep this one, V-Ray all. Again, if you don't find the toolbars, right click, show toolbars, and find all the toolbars of Rhino and V-Ray for Rhino right here. Also, you have a menu at the top, which is called V-Ray, and here you will have the same thing basically, but also with some addition. For example, the file path editor, which is not visible here, and it's another pretty important panel that we're going to talk about later on. So here we are just at the beginning. This is the standard setting for Rhino, and again we need to check if that's activated. Okay, that's V-Ray, it's on. And now we can start to place something here. For example, let's go to solid and let's place a cone. So I'm going to click with the left mouse and just click and drag and create my first cone. And we can now start the render. You can open up the VRAM frame buffer, or you can click directly on this icon here, which is kind of a teapot. And there you go. Now this is how the first render is gonna look. It's gonna have this background which is inherited from Rhino, and it's kind of a really basic studio setting, gray and nothing fancy. Now if we want to have some shadows, we need to have a plane here, and I will show you the first V-Ray tool, which is probably the most easy to use, and it's this one here. It's called an infinite plane. So if you click this, it's gonna add an infinite plane to the scene. This means that it doesn't have an end, and it's gonna create like an horizon and also a base for your objects. And let's do a render again. Okay, but now we cannot see anything. We just, the cone seemed to be disappear, but it's there, but they all share the same material, and so we don't are really capable to see it right now. So I will show you also how to import. So let me delete this cone, and just to start with something, if you are accustomed with SketchUp and also the 3D warehouse, you can go on the web and go to the 3D warehouse, download any model, and then you can import it here, as I will do here with the SketchUp file that I already have. Or you can go on the web and search for any model that you want. Just make sure that it's compatible with Rhino. So for example here, if I do import and I go to the supported files, you can see here that Rhino supports a lot of different format for a lot of different software like 3ds Max and AutoCAD and Maya, Cinema 4D, OBJ, SketchUp right here. So you can select one, go to the web, search for a 3D model if you don't have it, and then save it on your computer and then open it up. Now I'm gonna use a SketchUp file because I have created also a course in SketchUp and V-Ray for SketchUp. So if you're interested, you can check it into the channel, and let's open it up. Well, one thing important, if you're using the latest version, in my case it's 2021, save it in 2020 because you could have issues here in Rhino. So make sure that not only the format it's supported, but also the version. And once you're ready, you can import, and so you will have a scene to use and not just a simple space. Now, another wonderful thing, if you are using a SketchUp file, or I think also it works with FBX and OBJ, is that you're gonna have, and also DAE, another format, you should see all the different materials applied. So let's render this out. Okay, so we can see we have these nice materials. Well, they are not so beautiful. They this one looks like an architectural model for an exhibition, but it's a good start. We're starting to see something. We don't see everything white. So definitely try to use 3D Warehouse or from Trimble, and so SketchUp file or something similar. Now let's change here the background because I don't like it, and with the SKUs I'm gonna show you the other really important tool in VRAY. So the first one is the VRAY buffer, because this is where we will actually see our rendering happening, and the other one is the VRAY asset editor. This is the management tool of VRAY. So here we can manage all the different assets that we're going to create, and here we can change the parameters, create new settings, create new assets, and really be the manager of everything is going on in VRAY. So the first thing here, for example, I can activate the Rhino document sun, which, okay, be careful also the view that you are selecting, because that's gonna be the view that you're gonna render out. And so depends on what you are actually showing in that viewport. If you are out of anything, it's gonna be all white, and these are 2D views here. Okay, let's click on the perspective again and let's render. Okay, so we can start to use this document sun of Rhino, but it's not really effective right now, so you can turn this off. And this is kind of a plain and really diffuse lighting that it's again similar to an exhibition where an architectural model it's shown, or a particular product, kind of a showroom plain lighting. And we also can see here that we have infinite plane, Rhino document ground plane, so we can turn on and off things. And the thing that I want to change right away is the background. I don't like it, so I will go here to settings, and also here we can change all the render settings. And so we're gonna start with this. So I'm gonna change here the environment. I wanna set it to white, and also deactivate the texture. And don't worry about everything. We're gonna go through all of these really easy and step by step. So I'm just showing you here to make an example of what the most important panels and tools are here in VRAY. And they are definitely the VRAY frame buffer and the VRAY asset editor. Okay, now you can see the image is a little bit darker, but this is probably because the texture was pretty bright. So I'm going to increase the light here. Let's say I want to increase of 3 times this background lighting, and there it is. So I have this plain light illuminating everything. So I guess this is a good start for people who never touched VRAY before. You can see it's pretty simple if you follow some pretty basic notions. Now we are going to talk in this series of videos about all the tools. We're gonna start with some new feature, for example, like the VRAY Vision, and also how to set the basic things here in VRAY. We will also start by importing other models from other software, and then we will talk about natural light, artificial lights, and also how we can use different techniques for example, an interior design render, an exterior render, and a product render like furniture or a an industrial design object, since Rhino is used essentially for industrial design mostly. And then we will talk about also other tools that we find here, which are secondary but can be really helpful in a lot of situations. And of course, we'll talk about materials, how we can manage materials, create our custom materials, and also use libraries and other interesting assets that V-Ray give us that are gonna accelerate a lot our work, make it faster and faster and easier. So this would be all for this video guide. If you enjoyed, please subscribe to the channel, and if you can support us, please join the channel. You can write your comments, can be questions or also suggestions, but need to be useful for the community. So again, thanks for watching this video and see you in the next video.